Hello, welcome to the Horus Heresy. I'm still struggling to say that. This is my first video after the big intro video, and I guess the first thing that we're going to look at is we are going to look at what's in this box, the Saturnine box. Now, obviously, I'm super late to this, but I'm going to be going through all of these articles, and so obviously it makes sense to do these in order. And instead of just making heavily edited content, you're just going to get everything that I would think and say, because it's the Honest Heresy. Honest. I can't say it right. Anyway, this box got announced, the new launch box. And it's pretty crazy. Like, my hot take before I read anything else is this is pretty wild to see the Saturnine Terminators immediately out of the gate, because it really does feel like SDS, and that's the group that make the Horus Heresy, SDS are just going to constantly revamp and reintroduce and add new stuff to this game system, even if it's like the very most esoteric, far-flung things that you could possibly think about. So, which makes sense, because I have both been to a lot of the Horus Heresy weekenders and I really enjoyed spending my time listening to people like Alan Bly and John French and Tony, talking about things to do with the Horus Heresy, and they very much were like, we're just going to make stuff up when we want to make stuff up, which I am really pro, because I think that's a cool thing to do. Okay, so this box got announced, and it's pretty jam-packed with stuff, right? So what's inside the box? 50 miniatures, a 352-page rulebook is crazy numbers. That's a crazy amount of rules to go through. I quite like the concept that absolutely no one's going to make a how to play. And now I know some of these have already been leaked at the time of making this video, but that is nuts, and I'm very excited to read through it. Construction guide, obviously, 4 reference sheets, 3 weapon templates, 21 dice, a range ruler, 40 tactical status, and objective tokens. That obviously comes up later when we start talking about this, because status and objective tokens are going to be a big deal in this game. And then a transfer sheet as well. Okay, so the actual number of minis, I feel, is pretty wild. 50 minis. Now, at this stage, we actually know the points cost of some of these elements. We know that the Terminators are going to get you, they're going to be about 400 points if you field all 6. We know that if you take the big guy with the big pauldrons, then you're going to add another couple of 100 points, and our Dreadnoughts, a few 100 points more as well. So if we add the Marines in, you're already looking at plus 1,000 points for an army to kick you off. So if you are interested in jumping into the Horus Heresy at this point, this is a great box to start you off, right? Especially as my philosophy for army building is always start elite and get small later. So I'm sure they'll release these, the Terminators individually or Dreadnoughts, but you can always add an additional Dreadnought or 2 or a vehicle to really bump up your numbers early. So you only have to paint a few things, start playing. Again, focus of this channel is start playing games. You don't have to paint them if you don't want to before you start playing games. I know some people are very much like, I have to, but just paint up the biggest stuff you can, put them on the table, start playing. Don't create massive problems for yourself, right? Horus Heresy Box let you use the entire set for the same army, right? Yes, that's another thing I should say. Everything in here, though, painted in two different armies, let you just paint everything for one army, right? So you just buy it all together. Okay. So let's have a look at the miniatures. So importantly, there's Mark II power armor. Now, I like Mark II power armor. I'm a big Mark II stan. I like the rivets. I think these are very cool. I'm not necessarily the Mark IV beaky. Is it the Mark IV beakies? Mark V beakies? Whichever the versions of, and let me know in the comments, because I'm sure you'll know, whichever of the marked armors are the ones that give you the shoulder pads with the little domes on. Hate that. They're the worst. Hot take, I'm calling it, they're the worst, right? But the versions that are more rivets are the best. So this is great. I like this. Lots of rivets. Very cool. I had a Death Guard army as well, which I think I did in Mark II, maybe Mark IV. I can't remember. At one point. Again, I'm learning this as we all go through. I'm going to keep reminding myself how it looks. So anyway, these look great. The painted in Salamanders, which I think is a Salamander paint scheme, I think. which is exactly what I'm going to do. So I love that as well. They've also got these new weapons as well, which is interesting. Let's start with the most plentiful models in the box. Saturnine contains 40 Space Marine Legionnaires in Mark II Crusade armor. This is the first time we've seen this armor pattern in plastic, and it's been well worth the wait. This pattern was made famous during the early years of the Great Crusade, was famed for its dependability and durability. There's a few iconic features, such as the single lens vision slit rather than the dual lenses typically seen on subsequent armor marks. I personally think this is absolutely boss. That's an English term for non-English speakers for very cool. I think this is very cool. I like it a lot. And it very much is what I want to see from the Horus Heresy. One of the things I always liked about the Heresy as well, like when I went to the Horus Heresy Weekenders or when I see paint jobs on Instagram or whatever it is, I like the more, grim, dark, distressed paint style that you see compared to the more Marvel-esque paint jobs that you sometimes can see from 40K. I'm not comparing the two, or I'm not competing the two against each other, just my preference, right? So I like these. I think these are cool. But also I think there's something about the guns which is interesting. Anyway, I think these Iron Hands or Iron Warriors, either way, I hate the Iron ones. So if you are watching this and you're like an Iron guy, whichever of the two Irons that you love, we're enemies now. Please continue to watch the show though, but we're enemies forever. I do love the chain bayonets. The chain bayonets are fun. These new guns are also really fun as well. You get a host of weapons in the box, including all the bolters you need to assemble them as tactical legionnaires, as well as the options for command personnel such as Sergeant, Nuncio Vox, and Legion Vexella. There are also 36 new disintegrator weapons. Now, this is where it gets pretty spicy. Again, if you're interested in getting the Horus Heresy, SDS normally give you a ton of stuff. I just picked up some Mark II Tactical Squad, which obviously, and I also picked up the melee weapon upgrade set. So, or just the weapon upgrade set. I can't remember which one it is. So I'm excited about that. And the reason I did that was because you are never going to be able to put all of the weapons on your guys that you want to, which kind of sucks and kind of doesn't suck, because normally what you end up with is just way more Marines than you need, because you want to give them all the right weapons. And WYSIWYG, I think, is not mandatory, but I think it's an important factor of the Horus Heresy, because it feels like you're not really doing this to meta chase or do anything like that. You're just building models because you think they look cool and they've got the cool guns. So that's an important element. So the new disintegrator weapons are going to be hot property. But I'm a little bit annoyed about the disintegrator weapons, because then, of course, you kind of feel like, I'm going to want more boxes of the Marines, more disintegrator weapons, so I can build out my squads exactly the way I want to do it. I guess that's really exciting. I guess also SDS want you to spend loads of money, so it's cool that they've got these in here. Now, these are a mix of pistols, rifles, blasters, and heavy disintegrators. They're deadly weapons from the Dark Age of technology, originally intended to be turned against the worst horrors of the galaxy. You can build your Legionnaires as veteran tactical squads, wielding these disintegrators in the name of Horus the Emperor. Or Horus or the Emperor, sorry. Horus or the Emperor. So yeah, very cool. Very fun, interesting weapons. The OG bolters look great. The Death Guard armor looks really solid in this. The Death Guard paint scheme looks really good. I like this a lot. It's very, very cool. So then we get the Centurion in Mark II power armor. Now this is crazy good. Crazy good. Especially the helmeted version is amazing. And one of the reasons I truly love the Heresy, the armor styles, and again, my partner, she always describes 40K as a walking church. And I've always felt the same with the Horus Heresy sculpts and minis. Sometimes why I think like stuff like the Cataphractii Terminator from stuff like Calth was a bit too flavorless when it came to the design. Some people won't like overt designed minis like this, but I think if you're going to have a character model, especially with a gut plate, shout out to my ogre bros, with a gut plate and a cape, absolutely. Will I ever do the text on this banner? No. Will I plan on doing the text on the banner? Absolutely yes. Have you done text on a banner? Let me know in the comments below. This is great. This is an 11 out of 10 model. This would be a reason just to buy it, personally. I also went to Games Workshop, Warhammer World yesterday, and I picked up the... both the Legion Tartarus Praetor, because I'm just so in love with characters. You can't really see that on my camera. That's terrible. There you go. That. In addition, the Librarian console, because I'm just pumped about doing characters. Characters are one of the coolest things in the Heresy, obviously. So big fan of that. Anyway, so this is a great kit. I love that a lot as well. Now, I'm okay. Now, if you're like, all Rob's ever going to do is say stuff is great, get ready for me to say, miss me with the Arcane quad accelerator platform. I do not care. I do not. A tank, yes, I'm in. A demon, fine. Do I want this giant gun that just sits there for the rest of the game? No. But do people want that? Sure. That's not for me. So I don't care about this. Now, obviously, everyone wants this. This is the 1980s have called, and they don't want their shoulder pads back. These are crazy. We've now also seen their profile as well, which I'll cover in another video. Crazy profile. So much stuff going on with this unit. They're also very expensive. So it's a really good kind of like entry into the game. You've got a really solid unit that's going to really struggle to die. It's going to do a lot of output. It's very expensive. But actually looking at it as a unit, it's great. Painting it up is going to be so fun. Different weapon options are going to be really enjoyable as well. The multi-part kit when it comes out, so you can maybe magnetize kits, is going to be really enjoyable as well. Obviously, they've said that this harks back to the 1980s. I also really enjoy, if you have kept up with any of the kind of Horus Heresy lore, I really enjoy the kind of complementary Saturnine tip from the armor, and the same way the Solar Auxilia get their armor. I think they also get it from Saturn as well. So this concept that there's like these more esoteric build locations for armor types, I think is very cool. So I love that. That's all great. They're great and obviously iconic, and everyone is very excited about these. The dual plasma gun is so dumb. But it's dumb in a way Horus Heresy should be. It's dumb in a way that Warhammer should be. It's not trying to be cool. It's trying to be absolutely OTT. And yes, that's so great. So I love that as well. The different paint schemes actually look really nice. I think the White Scars one looks good. Obviously Iron, skip that. Also another Iron one. They look lame. But, you know, Blood Angels are going to look great in this, I think. Death Guard's going to look good in this as well. So these all look really good. So then, obviously, the Praetor in the Terminator armor, absolutely wow. This is a dual kit, though. We later on find out that you can either build this with a hammer or you can build this with an axe. Arguably, I kind of, rule of cool, I want the hammer. I think it looks cooler, but the axe is probably more effective, depending, because it's good for hitting a lot of infantry. The axe is better for doing some vehicle stuff. Apparently you can do both the axe and the hammer, I'm learning right now, so never mind. I'm going to do both. I've changed my mind immediately. Obviously, also, we found out later on, after this got revealed, that there's also going to be some very cool ways of... there's going to be some really cool ways of doing duels with characters. So gearing up this guy to fight Welling duels as well is very fun. So I like this. I think this is very cool. I think it's really nice. Some hot takes, not hot takes, but some information we've also had as well is that apparently this box is going to cost £195 and it is going to be released next month. So the 2607. So for Americans, because we do it that way, it's going to be the 26th of July, which is very cool. So we're about a month away, which is super exciting. So I think the hype is well and truly built up at this point. But either way, £195. How do I feel about that as a price point? It's got a rule book. That's 50 quid. You get 50 minis. That's pretty reasonable for Games Workshop standards. Is it a reasonable jumping point for the game? Okay, that's a great question. £195, you get the rule book, you get templates and dice and other stuff that you need. You get over 1,000 points in minis, and you need to play about 3,000 points. Yeah, I'd say that seems pretty reasonable. Pick up a couple more boxes of stuff, and then, yeah, let's go for it. 50 minis is not bad. One of the things to always talk about, and I talk about this in the Old World show that I do on Square Based, and Val, my co-host, also loves talking about it. SDS give you a really good deal. Most of the time, not their resin mini kits, normally, not the resin mini kits, but normally they give you a great deal on the infantry and the squads and stuff. You normally get a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I love that. And then you get the big Saturnine Dreadnought, which is obviously wicked. We never thought we could see a Dreadnought that was cooler or better. We never thought we'd see a a Dreadnought as good as the Leviathan or as derpy as the Dorado. Somehow they were able to take both the chunkiness and sexiness of a, of a Leviathan and the dual arm weirdness and nipple guns of a Dorado. But either way, this is obviously also excellent as well. And eventually I'd like to get a couple of these as well as like an entire Dreadnought section for my my Salamander army, which is what I'll be building. And again, they look great in Space Wolf as well. Very, very cool. They look good. You also get the big rule book. That's a lot of pages for me to make content about. That's a lot of pages. I like, and if you've never joined me on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Honest Wargamer. So that's where I make all my stuff. So if you ever want to join me there, when this does come out, we will be reading it live. And that's how I break down stuff. I normally do it with a big studio audience. There's a bunch of people in the chat right now who are here while I'm talking about this stuff. They get really excited. I'm really excited, and we kind of talk about stuff. They're the ones who just showed me what the price point for this thing is. So if you ever want to join me, please do. Yeah, and that's everything that's in the box. I feel like it's a pretty good deal. That's a massive book, 195 pages. I will say sometimes SDS is a bit not miserly. It's a bit like generous with its pages. Like you'll open a page and it'll be like 3 lines of text and a big piece of art. I mean, I don't hate that there's a big piece of art. As an original owner of all of the original black books, I don't know if you remember those. And if you're new to the Horus Heresy, you won't. But if you do, the original black books, they were just full, dense, full of text and pictures. So hopefully this doesn't have that same thing that's happening as well. But yeah, big rule book. And you will have to buy also additional books as well, which is a bit sad. Like you're going to have to buy the additional rule books that cover how the armies work and the different factions and stuff, which is going to be whatever it's going to be. So it's going to cost a bit more money. But generally, I will be picking up the box as a jump-off point for this, should you get it. I think if you want to get into Horus Heresy, it feels like a great deal. They're all modern sculpts. It's a lot of points worth of stuff. You get all tokens and everything else that you need inside of it. That feels really positive. So yeah, I think as a jump-off point, this looks 11 out of 10. And I'm going to be getting it. So let me know if you're going to be getting it. Let me know what you think about anything I've talked about in this video. And we'll talk to you soon.